The European Union has made a historic move to bolster its defense capabilities. Facing the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, the EU has agreed to a massive increase in defense spending. This decision marks a turning point in the EU's approach to security. For years, the EU has relied heavily on the United States for its defense. The war in Ukraine has exposed the fragility of this arrangement. The EU's decision to increase defense spending is a clear sign that it is serious about taking responsibility for its own security. This move has been welcomed by many, who see it as a long overdue step for the EU. The increased defense spending will go towards a range of initiatives. This includes joint procurement of military equipment. It also includes investments in new technologies and increased cooperation between EU member states. The goal is to create a more integrated and effective European defense framework. The EU's decision to boost defense spending has significant geopolitical implications. It signals a shift in the balance of power in Europe. With this move, the EU is asserting itself as a more independent and assertive actor on the world stage. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has emerged as a key player in the response to the Ukraine crisis. Starmer has been a vocal supporter of Ukraine since the beginning of the conflict. He has worked tirelessly to rally international support for Ukraine. Starmer has also been instrumental in pushing for tougher sanctions against Russia. In addition to his work on sanctions, Starmer has also been working to build a coalition of the willing to deter Russia. This coalition would be made up of countries that are willing to provide military support to Ukraine. The coalition would also be prepared to take action to deter further Russian aggression. Starmer's efforts to build a coalition of the willing have been met with mixed reactions. Some have praised his leadership and his commitment to defending European security. Others have expressed concerns about the potential for escalation. They worry that a coalition of the willing could provoke Russia and lead to a wider conflict. Despite these concerns, Starmer has remained steadfast in his belief that a strong international response is necessary to deter Russian aggression. He argues that the world cannot stand idly by while Russia violates international law and threatens the security of Europe. The potential deployment of peacekeeping troops to Ukraine is a complex and sensitive issue. Starmer has expressed his willingness to send British troops to Ukraine as part of a peacekeeping force. However, any such deployment would require careful planning and coordination. One of the key challenges of any peacekeeping mission in Ukraine would be to ensure the safety and security of the peacekeepers themselves. The conflict in Ukraine is ongoing, and there is a real risk that peacekeepers could be caught in the crossfire. Another challenge would be to secure the cooperation of all parties to the conflict. Russia has already expressed its opposition to any NATO involvement in the conflict. Moscow views NATO as a hostile alliance and would likely see the deployment of NATO peacekeepers to Ukraine as a provocation. This opposition from Russia poses a significant obstacle to any peacekeeping mission. The United States, on the other hand, has been more supportive of the idea of peacekeeping in Ukraine. The US sees a peacekeeping force as a way to stabilize the situation and create the conditions for a lasting peace. However, the US has also made it clear that it is not willing to put American boots on the ground in Ukraine. The issue of frozen Russian assets has become a major point of contention in the international community. The United Kingdom, along with its allies, has frozen billions of dollars in Russian assets in response to the invasion of Ukraine. There is growing debate about whether these assets should be seized and used to fund the reconstruction of Ukraine. Proponents of seizing Russian assets argue that it is only fair that Russia should pay for the damage it has caused. They argue that using frozen assets to rebuild Ukraine would send a strong message to Moscow that its aggression will not be tolerated. Opponents of seizing Russian assets argue that it would be illegal and could set a dangerous precedent. They argue that seizing the assets of a sovereign state would undermine the international legal order. The debate over frozen Russian assets is likely to continue in the months and years to come. It is a complex issue with no easy answers. The outcome of this debate will have significant implications for the future of European security. The EU's move to bolster its defense, Starmer's coalition-building efforts, the potential for peacekeeping, and the debate over frozen assets all highlight the complex geopolitical landscape that has emerged in the wake of the Ukraine conflict. As Europe navigates this new reality, the decisions made today will have far-reaching consequences for the continent's security and stability in the years to come.